I just want to say I'm so honored and humbled to be involved with this event and how excited it is to have a TEDx event in St. Thomas. And thank you to all the organizers and everything like that. So I just want to give them a round of applause. All right. So my name is David Andres Berg. I was born in Puerto Rico and raised on the island of St. Croix. And today I'm going to be talking to you about something I feel very strong and personal about, and that is my culture and a way that we're going to be able to preserve it to help guide our future. Being an island boy, growing up on the St. Croix, I was truly blessed with what I was able to see and accomplish and be a part of. Running in the sand, living on the beach, and also being a Makajumbi. And if some of you might not know what a Makajumbi is, it is an African tradition that came over with the slaves. And it was a spiritual, cultural, very strong part of their life and existence. And when they brought it over, it was something that was passed down through our cultural history throughout the past decades through and led all the way down to me. And being part of that, it helped guide the rest of my life because I felt I became an advocate or ambassador of representing my culture. And it was just an honor to be involved with it. And I felt that was going to be the rest of my life, of the way I was going to be representing my culture is through being a Makajumbi or other physical activities such as that. But life had a very different path for me growing up. I went to the States for college and everything like that, and I actually brought my stilts with me to college and represented myself as a Makajumbi and did weddings over there and after St. Croix and everything like that. But I found myself getting into martial arts and other events like that, and one day, someone, in a very strange accident, I ended up breaking my knee and tearing my ACL. And that sort of shattered any chance of me continuing my Makajumbi career as an adult. But because of that, I found my photography. Through a lot of pain and meditation and stuff, it led me into creating photos like this. So, and just to speak about this photo here and talking about growing up, I feel this photo truly represents growing up in the Caribbean for me. The freedom of a kid just jumping off of a horse. So, if anyone that knows how that feels, I think you could agree with me. So, something like, she spoke about my family's history. Throughout the past couple of years, my family's history has been researched for decades over and over, and we have found out my family's history has a lot of correlation with Virgin Islands history. And in doing so, I've become more infatuated with the idea of the history of our Virgin Islands and how myself, through my photography, I'm able to represent that into a positive manner. And I've dedicated my life into creating photos and images that represent what I feel is a culture. For example, this photo here. I don't know if you guys ever seen a Makajumbi during Carnival Parade. If you ever see them do the group up session where they, right before they start dancing, they'll hold each other into 1 second for a couple minutes. I don't know if you ever, or anyone Makajumbis in the crowd, know how strong and important that moment is. And this is, I took this photo facing up during one of those situations right before the Makajumbis danced during the Judges Stand Carnival. Because during that moment, the Makajumbis are circled together and they're holding each other up. There's only, if one falls, we all fall together. And I feel that there's a strong idea that has stuck with me, and I just love that idea of that. So, okay. The sugar mills and the ruins. As a photographer, I find myself photographing weddings, portrait sessions, a lot of things inside the plantation ruins, and all kind of stuff from that idea. It's like weddings, portraiture sessions. And every time I do that inside of a sugar mill or a plantation, in the back of my head, knowing our history of the plantations, it's a surreal moment because this was not a positive place hundreds of years ago. This was a horrid place. And we're now using it in a different manner, which is okay, but we should not forget what was there before. It's extremely important for that. And I feel as we become more westernized, which is bound to happen, this is being forgotten about. What they were built for? What was the original purpose of these sugar mills and plantations? And it was not something to be a symbol for light and positive, but when someone in the plantation saw that, it meant something bad. It meant work. It meant death. It meant losing limbs. Things like if we go and imagine how that felt. And now we do weddings in them in sessions, which is fine to think that the idea is now becoming positive and the memories that are now being created within the sugar mills have a more positive manner. But again, we cannot forget what it's from. And this is where this photo came from, this idea. In the forefront of the photo, I have what I feel is a representative of slaves while a photo shoot's going on. Just take that in for a second. The ghosts of slaves while a portrait session's going on. Something that I hope with my imagery will help people remember what was there for. Growing up on St. Croix, I lived near an area called Maroon Ridge. And that was the area where a lot of the slaves used to come to escape from the plantations. In this area, there's no way to support life, really. There's no real water or land mass or like way to grow or farming like that. It was truly a way of choosing freedom over slavery, but that freedom usually meant death. And this photo, I feel, was my way of representing the idea, because Maroon Ridge, most of the options that you had once you were there was just to either jump into the ocean. And that was your way of trying to find freedom. So that's that photo. Culture for me and preserving it is something that is not just about cruising culture or heritage. I have truly lived my life knowing my past and letting it guide me to where I'm going to become. And I want this idea to be something not just for cruising culture, but for everyone that's listening to me right now, to realize that knowing where you came from is the only way to know where we're going to go. And especially right now in the Caribbean, where transition is happening, where we're becoming, some people might say we're being more colonized, or we're losing from that. But we just can't let go of what we know. And myself being such history here, and my family being so long here, I just try to truly represent that in a strong, positive manner. And just to go back to the Muckajumbis, the Muckajumbis themselves, we have now looked at them, they've become more of maybe a touristy kind of thing. We see them during Carnival Parade. But to know why that is because the slaves would hide their African traditions amongst the Christian beliefs so that they were able to show that, to represent that. And even if they weren't doing it the way they usually would do it, it was still there. It was still guiding them in a land that they didn't know and where they were from, and just was truly honored for that. And I'm sorry, guys. It's such a personal matter for me and such strong feelings that it actually makes me a little sorrow and happiness at the same time, because I just want that feeling to know of where everyone, to know exactly what we're going to do and not to forget that. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Great pictures, man.
Thank you.